Hey guys, thanks for joining us here at Salty Ginger Talk. Returning listeners, it is great to have you back. If you're new to the channel, we're really glad you joined us and hope you like what you hear. Our podcast is targeted towards people who want to learn something new or make themselves a little bit better every day. And so for today, we are going to focus on the benefits that sleep provides to your body. And this is coming from some personal experience. We had a pretty significant health issue in the last month or so. And one of the things that drove a lot of the things around that health issue was a lack of sleep. And so we've done a lot of research on this, and we want to pass along what we have found and really advocate for you to take seriously the need to get quality sleep on a regular basis, and it will impact your physical, your mental, and your emotional health in such positive ways. We wanted to share what we found with you because ours were largely physical and created some pretty dangerous situations for ourselves. So your body, while you're asleep, does so much maintenance work on the various systems in your body. It is a critical piece to your long-term health. And we're going to go through that in some pretty minute detail today. Now, caveat here, I'm not a doctor. I've never stayed at a Holiday Inn Express. This is research that we have done that is widely available and is easily verifiable. So we're not asking you to take our words for it. We're not giving you medical advice. We're telling you what we have found from our experience, from talking to medical professionals, and from doing the research that we did to put this podcast episode together. But the sleep process is so important to your body. We just wanted to get it in front of you and give you very finite hard facts around what happens when you sleep and why it's so important for you. So, like we talked about, mental clarity, immune strength, emotional balance, and even weight regulation and fat loss are all connected to your sleep habits. So when you think about all of those things that are so important to your everyday physical health and mental health and emotional health, we're foolish for not prioritizing sleep. And look, I'll tell you right now, I'm 53. I've been working since I was 12. I've had big jobs. I've had important jobs. I've had stressful jobs. And I have sacrificed sleep in many, many, many instances to try to accomplish things that I thought were important. Looking back on that, it was a mistake on my part. Doesn't mean you should never run harder, run longer, push yourself, but you've got to be smart about how you do it. So it was not uncommon for me in my 20s, 30s, or 40s to say, you know what? I'm not going to sleep much this week. I'm going to get 2-3 hours of sleep because I've got so much work. I want to just dive into it and get this done. Not good. You're actually being much less productive than you could be if you got a good night's sleep every night and just attacked what you had in front of you every day. So with all that said, let's dive into the benefits you get or the functions that your body performs while you sleep. And we'll just see where this takes us. But we think there's a bunch of great information in here. So first part, we're talking about the brain and the brain's night shift, which is essentially why you sleep. The brain works on memory, it works on learning, and it works on toxin cleanup while you sleep. So let's take those one at a time. Memory. So your brain consolidates memories while you sleep, especially during deep, what's called slow wave REM sleep. And anyone that's ever taken a 20-minute nap and then jolted awake knows the difference between a short nap and a deep sleep. And in order for you to get to REM sleep, you need somewhere between 3 and 4 hours of consistent, uninterrupted sleep to get into the REM mode where your brain does a lot of these activities. So short cat naps ain't going to get it done. You're targeting somewhere between 6 and 8 hours of sleep every night. And we'll talk at the end about some things you can focus on to try to really help yourself get to a good spot as it relates to sleep. But during REM, your brain transfers short-term memories into long-term storage. So the scientific support around this, there's research from the Harvard Medical School that shows students who slept after learning perform significantly better in memory recall tests. One way to think about it is like your brain is hitting the save button on your mental hard drive. So whatever you picked up that day, your body's got to transfer it from short-term memory to long-term memory in order for you to be able to recall it later on. That happens during REM sleep. So if you don't get REM sleep, there's a good chance you lose a lot of the things you learned or the memories that you developed over that period of time, over that day. And so it's terribly important from a mental health standpoint and a functionality standpoint, memory standpoint, to get enough sleep so your brain can do that work. During this same time, your brain does what's called neural pruning and learning. So the brain trims unnecessary connections and strengthens important ones, key for learning and adapting. So maybe you did something that day and your brain had to associate things in a certain way, and that's not important long term. But at a different point in the day, you did access some things where you connected parts of your brain that are important for you to maintain long term. It's during REM that your brain will solidify the important connections and forget or eliminate the unimportant connections. So there is a hypothesis called the synaptic homeostasis hypothesis that suggests sleep helps reset brain plasticity. A lot of big words there. What does that mean? Synapses are the gaps in between your nerves where the chemicals hop back and forth to pass between nerve cells. Homeostasis just means equilibrium. That's all homeostasis means. So what this is saying is that your brain, for your brain to function optimally, you've got to get enough sleep so it can do all the work to set itself up for the next day. That's what it's saying. Reset brain plasticity. So the next day you get up, you're bright-eyed, you're bushy-tailed. That's why you can recall more in the morning. That's why you're able to do deeper thinking in the morning, or you're able to do creative stuff in the morning. And as the day goes on and you get more tired and your brain gets more tired, that goes away. And your brain resets itself every night when you sleep. And remember, this typically happens during deep, slow wave, and REM sleep, which doesn't come about until you're 3 to 4 hours in. So you've got to get enough sleep uninterrupted for all these things to happen. Then there's what's called the glymphatic system activation. So at night, your cerebrospinal fluid flushes out waste like beta amyloid, which is a protein that's linked to Alzheimer's. So a lot of big words there again. What it's saying is your nervous system is a closed system. You've got spinal fluid, you've got brain fluid. It doesn't flow to other parts of your body. And during the sleep sessions, your body cleanses those fluids of waste, of toxins, of unwanted chemicals, some of which, if they build up, can contribute to things like Alzheimer's or dementia or other memory loss diseases. So there was a study at the University of Rochester that found this system, the glymphatic system, is 10 times more active during sleep. And it's active because it's doing its job to cleanse the body of all the bad things that accumulate through going through a day and set you up for success the next day. So terribly, terribly important to get enough sleep so all of those things can happen in your body. Okay, so that is specifically about the brain and the nervous system. What else happens in your body that's super useful for you? Well, there's physical repair and hormonal rebalancing that happens while you sleep as well. So muscle recovery and tissue repair. So if you're an athlete and you run and or you go to the gym and you're trying to gain muscle or gain strength or gain endurance, all of those things are done during your deep sleep cycle. So the muscle recovery and tissue repair happens during your deep sleep cycle because things like growth hormone are released during deep sleep, which is critical for rebuilding tissue, muscle, and bones. So that soreness that you feel the day after you wake up, that's because your body has repaired things and there is waste that's trying to get out of those muscles, out of those tissues, and that inflammation is what's causing that soreness from the growth that happens while you sleep. So growth hormone peaks in N3 sleep, which is the slow wave sleep, the REM sleep we're talking about. So athletes show enhanced recovery with quality sleep. That's not front page news to anybody, but we're so quick to dismiss the importance of sleep in our world. And it's not a healthy thing. It's your body can't operate at its optimum condition, at its optimum performance if you deprive it of sleep. So terribly, terribly important, not only for the mental aspects we talked about previously, but now we're into the physical aspects. This is when your body fixes itself. And if you can't get sleep or you don't give it enough sleep, it's not going to fix itself and you're susceptible to injury. You're not going to perform as well. Your endurance is going to suffer. Your strength is going to suffer. And that's a problem, especially if you're trying to compete at a high level in athletics. Next, the immune system maintenance. So the immune system is terribly important. It keeps you healthy, right? Sleep enhances T cell production and cytokine release. And these all help you fight infection. So this is when all the little bugs that are out there, forget the COVID stuff for a minute, but even COVID, if you got enough sleep, if you're sleeping on a regular basis, you have a decreased chance of catching any of these autoimmune diseases. That's how it works. Anything that's out there, your body can fight it off better if it's getting enough sleep, because during the sleep cycle, your body produces more T cells and more cytokine, and those are things that fight infection, and that's what your body needs to stay healthy. So the Prather, there's a Prather study in the 2015 Sleep Journal that says sleep-deprived individuals are 4 times more likely to catch a cold. So is a cold a big deal? Not really. Is a cold a big deal if you're competing for an Olympic gold medal? You're goddamn right it is. If you play professional sports, yes. If you need to be at the top of your game for a presentation, yes. So why not give yourself the best chance possible to be successful by getting enough sleep? Okay, now hormonal balance. The hormonal balance is another critical piece. And your body balances out all the hormones that it uses to run each of its systems while you sleep. So let's start with cortisol. Cortisol is a stress hormone. And that stress hormone, cortisol, gets regulated overnight, preparing you for the next day. So if you don't get enough sleep and your body doesn't balance out the cortisol, it's going to set you up to make the next day harder to deal with stress, to stay calm in stressful situations, to handle things that get thrown at you the next day. And we all know it. We're in a much better mental place to deal with these things if we have enough sleep. We have anecdotal evidence in all of our own lives that tell us that what we're talking about here is true. So pretty straightforward. Now, sleep also influences insulin sensitivity and hunger hormones like ghrelin and leptin, which impacts your metabolism and your weight. So if you don't get enough sleep, you've got your digestive hormones out of balance, insulin, ghrelin, leptin, among others, and that impacts your metabolism. Maybe it slows your metabolism down so that you're burning 200 less calories a day. Okay, big deal. 200 less calories over a 10-day period is 2,000 calories. That's half a pound. So 10 days, half a pound. If you do 10 days into, 360, you could put on 25 pounds in a year just from not sleeping right. Pretty easy. Just by your hormones being out of balance. So that's how big of an impact it can have on you. So terribly, terribly important to both your physical and your mental health to get enough sleep. Okay, now number 3, the emotional impact of not getting enough sleep. So sleep-deprived brains show a heightened activity in the amygdala, which is your emotional alarm center. That's coming from a UC Berkeley study in 2011. Sleep restores connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, which calms your emotional reactivity. So if you don't sleep enough, your amygdala gets excited. That's your emotional alarm center. You're more irritable. You're more excitable. You have more anxiety. You have more what's the word I'm looking for? Mania is the word I'm looking for. So you're less stable. You're less able to absorb the things that come at you every day. And so sleep is terribly important to emotionally regulate, for your emotional regulation. It calms and levels out all of the sleep hormones, the hormones that your body uses to run their systems. So there's also mood stability and resilience. Poor sleep is linked to anxiety, depression, and irritability, like we just talked about. Chronic sleep deprivation can mimic symptoms of major mood disorders, like depression, suicidal thoughts, anxiety, all of those things become have an increased level when you show a chronic sleep deprivation or chronic lack of sleep. Dreams and emotional processing. REM sleep plays a role in processing trauma, emotional memory, and stress. So there's research by a guy named Matthew Walker that suggests dreams help soothe the emotional sting of painful memories. And if you don't get enough sleep and you deny your brain and your body the ability to do those things, it's going to make those difficult things that you're dealing with stay difficult for a longer period of time. And it's such an easy thing to fix by simply getting enough sleep. So can't stress enough how important it is to focus on sleep and really, really give yourself the best chance possible to be successful. Now, long-term impacts. Let's touch on those for a minute. Everything we talked about so far is like your day-to-day. That should be enough evidence to really make this important to you. But let's just say long-term. What is the long-term impact of sleep? Longevity and chronic disease. Chronic short sleep or chronic sleep deprivation is linked to a higher risk of pretty serious diseases. Heart disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, and Alzheimer's. All of those are linked to higher levels for people that are chronically sleep deprived. There's a study in Nurses' Health that says women who slept less than 5 hours a night had a 15% higher risk of heart disease. And you can fix that simply by getting enough sleep. I say simply. I know it's not easy sometimes to sleep. I struggle with it sometimes myself. But this is something you have control over and you can fix. And that's up to you to take that control. Next is cognitive decline. So midlife sleep habits predict late life brain health. What that means is if you don't sleep well in your midlife, you're headed towards a future with some version of dementia, of Alzheimer's, of Parkinson's, of some brain altering or brain damaging disease. Poor sleep in your 40s through 60s is a predictor of cognitive impairment in later years, according to the Whitehall 2 study, which was published in 2021. So there's so much evidence out there that says how important sleep is. We got to take this serious and we got to pay attention to it. Terribly important for all of us. Okay, so that's all the stuff your body does. So great. What do you do about it? How do you fix this? What are some things you can focus on to improve your chronic sleep so that you're getting enough sleep on a regular basis? Number one is consistency. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. So I go to bed at 10 and I wake up at 5, whatever it is. I go to bed at 11 and I wake up at 6. You should be trying to get between 6 and 8 hours of quality sleep every night. And you should maintain the same schedule as much as possible. There's times where you got to travel for work, you get up for a kid's activity, whatever. It's going to get interrupted every once in a while. But by and large, 80% of the time, go to bed at the same time, wake up at the same time every day, including weekends. What should your sleep environment look like? Cool, dark, and quiet room. Pretty straightforward. Lots of studies show that warm is not as good as cool when it comes to sleeping. You want it dark and you want it quiet in most instances. Now me, I like some background noise. So what I do is I will play something on my phone, but I'll set my phone upside down so I can't see the screen at all, or I'll put it on dark screen. Because you don't want screens about an hour before you go to bed. You want to reduce the blue light because it screws with your circadian rhythms. It screws with your systems in your body. And so if you can eliminate screens from your activity within about an hour of going to bed, that's super helpful. Also, have a wind down routine. Have something that cues your body to, hey, this is what I do before bed. So when I start doing this, it's time for you, my body, to start getting ready to go to sleep. Maybe it's reading a book. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's a stretch. Maybe it's a walk. Maybe it's writing in a journal. Maybe it's talking to someone on the phone. Whatever it is, have a routine that signals this is my first step as I work towards going to sleep at night. And that will be super helpful for you as well. And then the last one is caffeine cutoff. I would say caffeine, nicotine, any other stimulants that you consume during the day, cut them off at 2 p.m. Just cut them off. Get them out. Don't do them. That reduces the impact on your body and should flush those out of your system so that you don't have stimulants trying to keep you awake as you're trying to go to sleep. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Hopefully, I feel like we provided a lot of really useful stuff in there as it relates to sleep and gave you really good reasons why it's so important for all of us to focus on good sleep. And again, we're speaking from experience here because we had a pretty significant health scare, a lot of which was tied to our lack of sleep. And so we're very focused on it, want to share it with you guys so you could focus on it too, because we want you to live long, happy, productive lives. And that's what it's about for us. So, hey, James puts it up here every day. Don't forget to go to our website, saltygingertalk.com. All the podcast episodes are there. All those links to our social media accounts are there. We've got a newsletter that we publish every weekday that you can subscribe to there. And as always, please, please, please like, comment, subscribe to our channel on whatever platform you consume it on. Super helpful for us. Gets the videos and or audio versions out in front of more people, and we can help more people and get more people in the community we're trying to build here if we all share it together. So really appreciate your support on that. Everybody have a great week. We will see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.